Hello there, good evening, and welcome to State of Affairs here on GHOne television. We apologize for the late start of the program tonight, but I can assure you that it will be worth your while. My name is Joshua Kodjo Mensah, and tonight we're having a conversation with the Minister for Local Government, Chieftaincy and Religious Affairs, Ahmed Ibrahim. We'll be touching on quite a number of things that are of great concern to you, also because of the nature of the ministry and the importance agencies under the ministry. But I want to find out from you, today's a holiday, but what's your vibe this weekend? Are you having lunch with your clique this weekend? Are you watching football with the boys or the girls? Do you have other things that you want to look at this weekend and be able to achieve that? If that is indeed what you want to do, then let me tell you that you need to do that with MTN, because MTN ensures that your weekends are not the usual weekends. Your weekends are super fun. Your weekends are spiced up, and I'll tell you more about that in the course of the show, because MTN is proud to be associated with State of Affairs tonight. So like I said, my guest for this evening is the Minister for Local Government, Chieftaincy and Religious Issues, Religious Matters or Affairs, Ibrahim, Ahmed Ibrahim, and it's a pleasure to have you. Good evening. Welcome.
Good evening, Joshua.
I hope you're doing well.
Very well.
And how has it been for you at the ministry? Because you seem to have quite a lot of responsibilities now.
Joshua, to begin with, let me say a very good evening to your cherished viewers. Happy Eid. Clearly, today happened to be the last day of the Ramadan, and every Muslim is in a joyous mood as we speak. And having fasted for 30 days and having been blessed for 30 days and having prayed for forgiveness for 30 days, today is a happy day in the life of every Muslim, and therefore they are in their happy mood, and we are in a happy mood with them. So we started the day with them at the Independence Square with His Excellency the President of the Republic. From there we went to so many. So this is our fifth meeting
for the day.
And after this I have the last one before I call the day. So it tells you how busy the ministry has become and how we are trying to reset or help in resetting the agenda, as has been said or mentioned by the President. The President doesn't sleep, so the appointees too don't sleep.
Interesting. Mm-hmm. So you don't get sleep as you would have wanted to.
Especially when you have only 60 ministers, where you know that the reserve bench you can have as equally as 120 ministers in the reserve bench.
There are so many people.
So many quality people at the bench. So if you are happy to be selected, there is no way you can relax at all. You can't do things like business as usual. So clearly every minister, not only me, every minister is running 24/7. The 24-hour economy starts with the ministers. Your day is packed, your night is packed. The day you do physical activities, in the night you do learning activities. And therefore it has not been easy, but we are managing it.
Right.
But you could see that the returns are coming, and that in itself is our passion.
Interesting. I understand that there was serious and intense lobbying. Did you have to lobby for your ministerial appointment?
Not at all. This is my 17th year in Parliament. So mine was as to whether I will go to the executive or I will remain with the legislature. For the past 17 years, I've been a member of Parliament. I was only a backbencher for 4 years. After 4 years, I joined the leadership of Parliament. Majority bench, minority bench. I've sat on both sides of the leadership of the bench. And therefore, I know what is inside the legislature. So the question was, there was a call for me to remain the executive in the legislature and be part of the leadership to help move affairs. But I thought, the President thought otherwise, that I should join the executives to be able to learn new things and be able to help reset the agenda. So mine, there was no lobbying at all, but it was just a divine call.
John Mahama said, when we look at local government issues, looking at how we want to reset that ministry and make sure that it's functional, you are the best bet for him?
Clearly, I'm called Ahmed.
Yes.
And I'm an elder of the Church of Pentecost. And my mother is a Muslim. Half of my family is a Muslim, half are Christians.
Christians, yes.
So when we talk of merging or bringing the two on the same table, I know I'm best fit to be there. Then you come to local government issues. I have been a long-standing service member of the local government committee. And I was vociferous, very, very vociferous on matters of local governance in the Parliament of Ghana. So clearly, a lot of people were saying that as for local government, we know you are going to go there. So it was not a surprise to me at all.
You knew that it was possible.
It was doable, not possible.
Right.
So in the reset agenda, I knew previously the local government ministry did not include all the other things you are mentioning.
Yes. Religious
affairs, chieftaincy affairs, development authorities, and all those kind of things. We're not part of it. Sanitation, we're all not part of it. So when all those things were brought under it, it became so big. And there were a lot of people who were thinking that they would be there. But God knew that I had to be there, and John Mahama put me there.
God knew, John Mahama knew, and let me remind viewers that you're a big part of the conversation. So you can join our live stream on Facebook. We're streaming live on Facebook, also on X and on YouTube at GHOne TV. But let's talk about the MMDCEs and the nominations. We've seen the list. You put out a statement that contained a list of 71 for 8 regions.
So far, 72 are out. 72
are out, yes. And there are some who say that, well, you delayed. There was actually a delay in the release of the list of MMDC. Do you feel that there was a delay?
This is the earliest in the Fourth Republic that we have brought the names of MMDCs at post. In the last administration, it took them 9 months.
I remember in 2021, it was around September. That list came
even
out.
When government was continuing. But this is the very first time that a new government is at post. Within 1 month, his cabinet was formed. Within the second month, his council of state was formed. Within the third month, his MMDC's post list are out. How can you say it has delayed? This is the fastest so far, but people are not taking cognizance of the happenings in the sector. And all these things were engineered by the Minister of Local Government, Chieftaincy, and Religious Affairs. And even people were calling on us to delay the Council of State. We said no, we were going to go. We had it right. Mm-hmm. People were afraid of the cabinet. People were calling Parliament all kind of names. But within 2 months, the cabinet was formed. The president said within 14 days after swearing, he will name his cabinet. And he had it correct. It has never happened before. Then the MMDCs, as we are talking of, there were 4 stages of measures to be able to get the best out. And that one, 8 regions are done. The remaining 5 are coming out within this week.
This week, we should expect 5 more.
Yeah, 5 more are coming.
5 more regions.
Yes.
Right.
And 8 plus 5 is 13. Mm-hmm. Then we'll be left with only 3. And the 3 will come out the following week. So we said we were going to do by 31st or latest by the 1st and 2nd week of April. And we are on course.
You are still on course to
We
do
are
that.
still on course.
As Minister for the sector, are you under pressure? Because I'm hearing, in fact, I even spoke to some people this morning, say that there's a lot of jostling for who gets to be MMDC.
Joshua, you know me. You know me very well. I don't want to say I taught you in school.
You had to say that.
You know me. When it comes to me, I'm a perfectionist. And I always want to bring out the best. Clearly, that I insulated myself from that kind of lobbying. Okay. Assuming I knew you were always first in your class. If you were to contest for that, even though I know your academic capacity, that wouldn't warrant me to make you DCE. You will still go through the mill. That is me, and you know that is how I do. And I insulated myself from lobbying. So You can come and sleep in my house. That will not make you DCE. Wow. You can come and sleep in my office.
So irrespective of who you are, you need to go through the process.
The system is said that it's unbribable, it's unlobbyable. You cannot lobby your way out. You know, you needed to go through the regional vetting.
Yes.
Then there was Global Info Analytics that had to do opinion poll on the shortlisted ones from the region. Your region needed to bring the marks that they awarded during your vetting. Your score that made you to be shortlisted. Your regional executive needed to produce that to the national vetting. Global Info Analytics needed to bring his results in all the 261. Then there was a national BNI investigation on all the 261 districts. So there were 4 criteria: regional vetting to shortlist 3, Global Info Analytics on the 3, BNI investigation report on the 3, then national vetting to bring the final one out. So what role would the Minister for Local Government do? My role was just to make sure that I established this template to do their work. And if you look at the class of people, there was no way you could go and stand before any of them and tell them that you are lobbying. How will you lobby? The criteria is there are reps from Parliament, reps from the executives, and reps from the party, a tripartite committee.
Right.
And the rest from the party are the General Secretary and the National Chairman. The rest from the Parliament are the longest serving member of Parliament, Alhaji Collins Dauda. He's been in Parliament for 32 years now. Then, Honorable Emmanuel Kwesi-Bejira, he's been in Parliament for 17 years. I entered Parliament with him. Beyond that, he's the chairman of the regional, all the 16 regional caucuses of MPs. He's the chairman. And the president of the Parliamentary Christian Fellowship. Then, Honorable Cletus Avoka, he's a member of the Council of State and the former majority leader. And he's been in Parliament for 24 years. A former regional minister, a former interior minister, a former majority leader, a 24-year member of Parliament, and now a member of the Council of State. How will you bribe him? He knows the NDC inside out.
Right.
Then you come to somebody like Honorable Minister for Gender and Member of Parliament for Krowo, Honorable Namombo Lati.
Yes.
He's been the General Secretary of the National Association of Local Government, a former presiding member of Krowo constituency, a sitting member of Parliament, and a Minister for Gender. So when it comes to matters of gender, there were 2 women, 5 men, 5 males, 2 female. Then you have Dr. Valerie Soya, who has been a former Deputy Chief of Staff and the current Presidential Advisor on Government Affairs and a seasoned lawyer. So how will you approach any of those 7 people? So they were those who took the Global Info Analytics, the national vetting, invited the regional executives to come and justify how they did the shortlisting.
Right.
So if a regional executive started in his office and gave marks to anybody, he needed to come openly to justify how. You can imagine.
So if the process is that rigid, why don't we have people from, at least in the Bono region, protesting the nominations that have been made?
The Bono region, I heard the protests. And you know, in politics, we have not mentioned the members, anybody's name from there. And you know, in that, even it happened, even in my constituency as well. People thought my brother-in-law was in the race. And people thought I could make my brother-in-law the MMDCE. And my brother-in-law didn't get it, and they demonstrated.
Because he's your brother-in-law,
he married
and you're the minister for...
And I'm the minister for... And I signed.
And he did not get the position?
No.
At all? He didn't get a nomination?
No.
And there are protests against that?
The place is one of our strongest hold. And my brother-in-law is there. He's a sitting assemblyman. In fact, all the 3, those who were shortlisted were 2 assembly members and a former DCE. And the one who has been to the assembly for 3 times is our communication officer. My brother-in-law is our constituency treasurer, and the former DCE, these three were shortlisted. And brother, if your sister's husband is contesting for DCE, you are the minister for local government. I think the whole family would think that as for this one, it's a Kodjo.
Yeah.
But for Ahmed, I don't work like that. I allow the process to go.
Okay.
Global, the one who was mentioned, Global Info Analytics, he was the first. He is the oldest assembly member in the constituency among them. And he is the constituency communication officer. And during the campaign, he was my spokesperson throughout. So such a person, Global Info, his name was first. Regional Vetting, his name was first. BNI, his name is first. So that is the one that people's. So the process. And National Vetting too, right. His name was first. So how can you change it?
So the
because
process
your brother-in-law
produces the MMDCs and not necessarily based on preferences.
No, it cannot be.
So the MPs have no role whatsoever in that.
The MP Global Info Analytics was to consult.
Okay.
Consult MPP, consult opinion leaders, consult even MPs as well. And bring us the report. And award mass. That's how the reports are. If you look at it, it's funny. And Global Info is the reigning pollster, so long as polls are concerned. Fish Solution they're using, national elections they're using. Clearly, you ignore him at your own peril.
Right.
Ignore him at your own.
So what do you then say to party members who
then
are not happy about all of these?
Issue to the woman.
Yes.
They are supporting for is the sitting presiding member of the Breaking Municipal Assembly, and is a sitting regional woman organizer.
Yes.
A former deputy woman organizer, but she contested with others. You understand? So I don't have the right to say I'm mentioning her name, I'm mentioning this one. If you go through the process, so we said they should hold on.
Okay.
It wasn't that somebody's name was mentioned. We are yet to mention somebody from Brekum. So they should exercise patience and exercise restraint.
Right.
In fact, the process is very rigorous and very fair. Other than that, who wouldn't want that his brother-in-law is DCE?
Everybody would have loved that.
Everybody would have loved that. And now, even as he was shortlisted, he's a sitting assembly member from the stronghold. But at least in this game, there must be fairness.
There must be fairness. Well, interesting. Still talking about that, you've mentioned that, well, the MPs, it was just consultancy that
you have to consult them, but they didn't have they don't have the fantasy. Even me, I don't have the fantasy. We all have to be consulted, but it doesn't make us. The fantasy is the president with the advice from the local government minister and the National Vetting Committee.
Right.
So the National Vetting Committee produced a report and signed it.
So it was purely based on merit and competence.
Merit, competence.
And there was no consideration for females, because in the list we've seen about 5 females so far.
Are you sure? Maybe more. But even in Bono alone, there were 2 females mentioned.
Yes.
In Bono region alone, there were 2 females mentioned.
But the balance...
Out of the 72, there will be more than 5 females.
There will be more than 5, but still not up to 10.
Clearly, by the time we finish, we'll get more than that.
So there's no special consideration. It's just the process that the candidates need to be subjected to.
Now the ministry and the position of DCE has been so complex. Complex to the sense that you are going to be not just going to be the chairman of DISEC. You are going to be the interface between the government and the chiefs, the government and the religious bodies, in charge of sanitation, in charge of development authorities, assembly members, and the district chief executive role as well. Well, just as our ministry has become the connection of the 3 interconnected pillars, chieftaincy and religious affairs, sanitation, and local government, all these 3 transcend from the national to the district. And therefore, in choosing who should be the district chief executives, a lot of technical and political consideration must come into play. You don't just zero on one and appoint a DC. Okay. No.
Interesting. But let's talk about now the complexity of your ministry. Sanitation used to be a ministry on its own. Now it's a part of your ministry. And you're on record to have said that, well, looking at the situation, we should have a sanitation levy. What's the rationale behind that?
Now, maybe people didn't understand me very well. we advocated for a sanitation levy in 2018 as a parliament. And that is why the sanitation and pollution levy was imposed in 2021.
Yes.
Based on that, the next step was to establish a national sanitation authority and a national sanitation fund. That was the roadmap. Then the Ministry of Sanitation was divided into two. Then water went to Western Housing. Then sanitation came to you, local government. And then the sanitation and pollution levy has been taken to be merged with energy sector levy to be given to the Ministry of Energy. Meaning, if you go ahead to constitute or establish the National Sanitation Authority and a National Sanitation Fund, you don't now control the sanitation and pollution levy. So how are you establishing fund? Because the funding will now go to the energy. The funding, the levy has been taken away already, so there's no more sanitation and pollution levy to be used for national sanitation activities. And therefore, the media were asking me that, why don't I continue with the establishment of the National Sanitation Authority? My question was to continue with the establishment of the National Sanitation Authority, which will lead to the establishment of a sanitation fund. Which fund and how do you create a fund if you have no levy or no funding to put into the fund? That was the question. So the source has been taken away to energy. So now we have no funding for the sanitation. You understand my point? So my argument is, yes, it's a good practice to continue with the establishment of the National Sanitation Authority. Either the National Sanitation Levy will come back or we institute a new levy to be put into the use for the sanitation fight. Other than that, it will be an exercise in futility to create an authority where you have no source of funding. How would they work? Right. That was the question.
But then, what would you say is the challenge of sanitation, for which reason we need to get dedicated funding to be able to tackle that menace?
In fact, seriously, it's a challenge. And it's because of the times in which we are. I confronted the Minister for Finance on this. And he told me that, Ahmed, you are right, but the debt that we are inheriting from the energy sector alone, ECG, is about 68 billion Ghana cedis. Cocoa Board, the same thing. As for sanitation, we are only owing a debt of 1.2 billion. So yours is not that much. So I will take over the debt. However, I'm taking the sanitation and pollution levy to add it to the ESLA, energy sector levy, and use it to pay the 67 billion. Exactly. That was the answer given me. Okay. But I have created a 13 billion cedis to pay arrests. So out of that 13 billion cedis to pay the arrests, I will use part to pay the energy. This is a sanitation debt of 1.2 billion that we are owing. In fact, we inherited a lot of debt. A lot.
That's why your colleagues say you are only lamenting. You are not fixing the problem as you promised Ghanaians you would do. You are only complaining about what you came to meet. You yourself, looking at the nature of the country as we are things not changing? Even Ghanaians, what has changed? You could see some smiles on the faces of Ghanaians. Ghanaians are smiling?
Smiling. What has changed? You see, there is hope. And in leadership, you must give hope to people. Let people have confidence that, yes, you are ready to do it and you are doing it. And in doing it, sell the problem to the people and let them buy into it. You don't cover and conceal the problem or hide the problem without letting the followers know. Let the followers know. Is it true that if not the change, the rot going on in ECG, did you know about it? And how do you juxtapose the rot and the stealing that went on in ECG? How do you juxtapose that one with the 68 billion energy sector debt alone, which is clearly or seemingly pushing us into doing so, that we are refusing to go there, but we are rather trying to solve the problem and get it solved. And if the president said the economy was criminally handled, is he far from right? Is that lamentation? And if people give you the power as stewards of make you a stewards in trust, and you are saying you will not tell them the problem, but you pretend to be solving it, are you being fair to them? Let the people know the reality of the challenge and give them hope that yes, there is this problem, but we are facing it. We are going to fix it. That is what we are doing. We are not lamenting.
Right.
So I'm good self telling you. Remember I told you that this is my 5th meeting, and you were here when I received a call that
you have another meeting after
I have another meeting and I have to go. But I'm not on my own. I'm holding the position in trust for Ghanaians, and I must deliver. And clearly, today, as I was sitting with the president at the Independence Square, I could see that Ahmed Ibrahim, he's tired, but he's still trying to fix it. That is how we are all learning.
Is the situation that bad?
The situation is worse than you are seeing. You see, it is dangerous because the mindset was not good. There's a different thing doing the wrong, and there's another thing conspiring to do the wrong things. You can do the wrong things unconsciously or inadvertently, but you can do the wrong thing deliberately.
Right.
So there was a deliberate and intentional conspiracy to criminally handle the Ghanaian economy. And it made the Ghanaian highly disrespected by the foreigners. Can you imagine an Indian man or a Chinese man who has come to establish a company purposely to conspire with Ghanaians to steal ECG materials and sell them to the country, to take them to the factory to go and remanufacture? How would they think about you? Do you love your country? Is that patriotism? Is that nationalism? And you think in their country they will do that? So it's a great disrespect to the integrity and intelligence of the Ghanaian. And that shouldn't be. And it was not surprising to me. I'm now being made to understand why John Mahama won with a super majority in parliament, with close to 2 million difference. It has never happened. It was both natural, both divine, and God himself was anointed with the system. Because there's no way God will endorse that kind of criminality. Ghanaians didn't know, but God knew. So anyway, I'm going too much. But the God factor cannot be ignored. And that is why I come. So they can say we are lamenting. God knows what has changed. You could see some kind of exuberance, some kind of smile, some kind of new hope, some kind of new on the faces of Ghanaians.
But we've also been told that, well, this goodwill that the NDC is enjoying now is similar to what the NPP also enjoyed in 2017. In fact, there have been claims that the NPP enjoyed more goodwill in 2017 than you are doing now.
Yes, we don't have time to even enjoy the goodwill. The president, that's what John Mahama is overworking. Ever since he came, we had some few hours of energy fuel to enter into doing so. He had to travel to Dubai, he had to travel to Nigeria, 24/7. The 24-hour economy, he himself was walking the talk.
So it started with the presidency?
It started with the president. And you could see it in his body if you get closer to him. So, Joshua, anyway.
So the sanitation situation, I remember that in the previous administration, there was an ambitious plan to make Accra the cleaner city. Are we far? How close are we to getting Accra, ridden Accra of filth?
In fact, today I had the opportunity to meet with the the Media Coalition for West Africa, the Primpag, and almost all those who matter in the media space. The agenda is for the ministry to partner with the fourth estate of the realm. So you'll be seeing us more here. The fight against sanitation must be by 1, advocacy, 2, campaign, 3, a strategic and intentional effort towards a behavioral shift, where those things must be strategic and deliberately. So we are partnering the media to be able to make sure that we do the advocacy very well. We do the campaign to be able to do something like a mentorship, where you yourself will create some segment to be able to help us every day at least to talk a little about sanitation, about how best we can collectively fight against poor sanitation. From 24th October last year, we inherited cholera. And it spread to about 58 districts. Yeah. And it affected about 581 Ghanaians. And it killed about 49 Ghanaians. Both MPP and DCCPP everywhere. Cholera didn't know any boundary. So the fight against sanitation must be holistic. And all of us must bring our hands on deck. We were going to launch the National Sanitation Day on the 2nd. The president told us that we must do the advocacy very well. We must consult the stakeholders very well. We must bring everybody on board. We must make sure all our DCEs are at post. And we must make sure that we institute the National Sanitation League. So the Regional Sanitation League, National Sanitation League, we must establish a sanitation task force to make sure that there are sanitation gas. And we must make sure that we enforce and ensure compliance of the bylaws, this assembly bylaw. So there are a whole list of activities that we are rolling out. But at the center stage is going to be the media. The media must support in setting the agenda, in making sure that in the fight against poor sanitation, in the fight against illegal disposal, filtering of the places, in the fight against making sure that we don't choke our gutters and all those things, every Ghanaian must be brought on board. And if you are able to work on the minds of Ghanaians, we will be able to get the result that we are looking for. Without that, we can say we have ambitious plan, but there's a saying that man proposes and God disposes. But the scripture says there are many plans in the heart of man, but it is the counsel of Jehovah that shall prevail.
So that's the that's the Pentecost order.
It was their wish,
right?
But it didn't materialize. But we are praying to God by the side that we are backing the prayer with action.
Okay,
and it will work.
So are we still seeing it happening on the 2nd of April, the launch?
The launch is going to be on the 3rd of May. From 2nd of April, from tomorrow morning up to the 3rd of May, is going to be the advocacy. We'll be going to the mosque, the churches, the palaces, the media houses. We will be coming here to be able to play the advocacy, explain the rationale behind it, and how Ghanaians should get on board. And we'll be moving from assembly to assembly, endorsing all the assembly DCEs to make sure that by the 3rd of May, the assembly, the DCEs will be at post. And they are going to give a performance bond that there's a National Sanitation League. If your district is last, next time you are last for a number of you don't qualify to be there.
Wow. So it's also going to be a part of
criteria,
of their performance as MMDCE.
Exactly. It's going to be key performance indicators. Right. It's not going to be easy at all.
So it's not going to be a walk in the park for the MMDCEs,
no.
Even when they are
you can be an
MMDCE
for 3 months to 6 months. If you are last, the next time you are last, you are armchair MMDCE. That means you have no business being there. This is we are going to get working these MMDCEs. You will be in the trenches, you will be in the field, you will be in the office, you are not just going to be there to be doing ceremonial usher, whereby you will be there receiving. No. If your district is last, the next time you are last, the next time you are last, we'll tell you we didn't bring you there to come and sit down and be sharing common fund. We brought you there to come and work and turn around the fortunes of the place. If you are not able to do that, this thing that you see that people are doing, it is not just going to be for a job for the boys. The president is expecting too much from us, and we are going to expect too much from them as well.
Right. Interesting. It's interesting you brought in the issue of common fund, because in recent times, I mean, in the last sitting of Parliament, a lot of conversations came out of that. And I want to find out, why are MPs made to monitor Get Fund and common fund projects?
The poor and abandoned projects that we have is because of non-performance. And if you go, the development authorities, because they were directly not under any serious ministry, under any. If I tell you the rot in the development authorities, you will cry.
You mean CODA, the Middle Belt, and then the Northern Development Authority?
abandoned projects. Middlebelt alone have over 2,000 uncompleted projects within this short time. Koda has over 700 within this short time.
700 abandoned projects?
Abandoned projects. Northern Development, but unmentioned. So with the 3 development authorities, lack of monitoring and supervision is the bane of Ghana's underdevelopment. And assuming you are giving a contract from Accra, GHOne is headquartered in Accra. GHOne award a contract in Zebila. GHOne cannot be going there and be monitoring Zebila, Nakwandore, Zuarungu, Tatale, Zabzugu, Azin. So most of them will not be executed. And there's a need for proper monitoring and supervision of all those projects. How would that be done? Segregate it into constituencies and let every MP be monitoring all the GHOne projects, not only the one that the MP himself is doing, all the GHOne projects in the constituency, and make sure that they are properly done. And that's why GHOne projects are most of the best executed projects that we have in the country.
Because of monitoring?
Proper and effective monitoring, not monitoring. Proper and effective monitoring.
So that's the justification for the allocation they get also for that?
It's for the whole year.
The 150,000
It's for the whole year. It's for the whole year. So if you check it, you divide 150,000 by 12. And that will amount to about maybe 12,500 or yeah, something.
For a month?
For a month, something like that. And you need to fuel your car. You need to go, not once, not twice. You go inspect on this monitoring and come. When you come, you have to write to GHOne. This project is not fun. This one is abandoned. Call this contractor to site. That's the work of the MP.
But there are some people, in fact, I've heard Kofi Asare, for instance, mention the fact that, well, it amounts to duplicity of roles because the assemblies can have the ability to monitor the situation on the ground.
No. The assemblies themselves must be monitored. We monitor the assemblies themselves. You can't. The assemblies themselves, you see, the backstops, we are the people's representatives. And we lobby for those projects, and we need to know the stages of those projects. Who watches the watchman? Did you hear Cathedral?
I did.
Exactly. You see, in life, the problem we have in Ghana is poor supervision and improper monitoring. So, as for monitoring, myself as Minister for Local Government is going to be my hallmark. I'm telling you.
You're going to ensure effective monitoring?
Effective monitoring and supervision. And sometimes some will be unannounced. Yes, because most assemblies, they don't even go to work. Some don't even report. Some work twice a week. So unannounced, and I'll be there, and I'll ask you to call your staff there back. Don't let me say my things. But a lot of things are going to happen.
Right.
Ghanaians need to be put. We need to be put on a proper distance.
You think we've been relaxed for so long?
No, we are not just relaxing. We are over complacent and we are relying too much on past glories. And it is manifesting in our inefficiencies in everywhere. This is not how Ghana used to be. Ghana, no. We used to be like the Indians. And that's why India is entering the developed country and we are now lagging behind where we are. Ghanaian students used to be one of the best. Can you say that of our schools now? When you were in school, how you were learning, is that how they are learning now? Writing exams. Did you ever do demonstration when we failed you? But in Ghana, somebody goes to school, he writes exams and fails, then he go and do demonstration. Joshua. And that is why, if you check, it affects all our working habits, or indiscipline everywhere. You remember, don't let me go to when we were in school. Me, sometimes because of late comments, I used not to go home. I will sleep in the school.
Yes.
So that the following morning I'll be able to put you on your toes.
Right.
All these things were to make you very hot. Like this particular one. I know I'm constrained by time, but I needed to come. That is how you train and groom yourself. By Ghana, we've lost it. And that is what has manifested in almost in our football, in our everything. And we are now struggling to go back to the past glory. So Ghana is now a country behaving like Samson.
Not giving my last strength.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
But then there is this ambitious plan, 80% of common fund allocation directly to the assemblies.
Yeah, the concept of the decentralization was to make sure that resources are sent to the grassroots for them to be able to use. But gradually we were reconcentrating. We were rolling back the power from the grassroots to the center. And that is why the assemblies were almost dead. So what President Mahama is saying is that now he's going to send back. And the 80%, he's rather sending 88.4%.
Not 80.
88.4. 80.4 directly and 80.4 directly and 8 indirectly. So 88.4. So the assemblies will have too much resources to work with.
Which one is the indirect 8%?
The indirect is the indirect 8% is like monies like there are some monies. They are like monies given to the assembly, but that money like cured lepers. If you have lepers in your district assembly, there's a money for the persons with disabilities. That one is given to the assembly, but it is for people with disabilities. There's a separate account in the assembly for it. So these are the indirect. But the net direct one is the common fund that is given to the assembly to use.
Are MPs excited about it?
Whether you are excited or not, it's a government policy. But I think that once the money is going to be used by the people who elected you, you must be excited about it. There will be massive development activities in the assembly, and contractors will start working in the grassroots as it used to be. You will not need to come to Accra to come and lobby for a project. Be at your district assembly. And so now every Ghanaian is going to benefit from the national cake, but there will be equity and balanced development at the grassroots level.
Right. And in line with that decentralization agenda, how soon are we seeing the election of MMDCEs?
That one, there need to be a constitutional review committee report which will come out in July. You know, the president said we should wait for the constitutional review committee to bring their report in July. Once that one comes, then the amendments will follow. Other than that, we could have taken the Article 243 to amend it for the president, and 243, 248, and the rest to be for 55.3, and the rest for the president to be appointing, for the election to be going on. But even if that one were to be done, the election would have been in the subsequent years, after the 2028.
Okay, so let's talk about chieftaincy. I know we are a bit constrained by time, and we'll touch on the other areas. But how far is the promise to restore the summoning powers of chiefs?
That one is by the amendment of the Chieftaincy Act, Section 63D. And that one, there's assurance that we are going to do it. But now that we are too busy with the election, appointment of the MMDCs, once we finish that, then we come to those other legal and legislative reforms.
Because there have been claims that, well, that's unconstitutional. And
we will do it for myself. I'm bent on doing it for them.
You are bent on doing it?
Yeah.
Why? What will that solve?
It's in the NDC manifesto. Mm-hmm. It will solve a lot of problems. If your chief calls you and you refuse, then the chief will have the power to show you that he is the chief, and then it's a democracy. We have all right, but excessive liberty is also a problem. And therefore,
how do you mean?
Excessive liberty means excessive freedom can sometimes be problematic, and that's why sometimes there are certain restrictions that your right ends when somebody's own begins. And that's why even when you go to the barracks, there are restrictions. Why are you not liberated to enter everywhere in the barracks? It tells you that excessive freedom has certain implications. And you know, in the fight against galamsey, can you imagine if chiefs were given the power to be able to summon people that they see within their jurisdictional areas? But you've disempowered the chief. Somebody comes to Ministry of Lands, they give him a letter, he goes to the chief's area and start doing mining. The chief calls him, he says, I won't come.
Not really the case, because there have also been reports that some of these chiefs are actually
so
complicit.
long as you have
they are aware of what is happening in their jurisdiction, but because they are benefiting from that,
give them the power. And if you give them the power and you go and see somebody and that the chief doesn't have, then you can now blame the chief. But so long as you have disempowered them, we can't say, oh, we cannot rely on hearsay and be criminalizing our chiefs. Give them the power, and when you give them the power, you see the results.
So you want to give power back to the chiefs?
The chiefs must be given the power. When the chiefs used to control the power, development was expeditious. The chiefs could lead communal labor. The chief could even impose voluntary levies. The chief could embark on development activities. The chiefs could call on accountability and all those kind of things. There were that kind of telepathy, communal spirit, communal labor. Since when? When was the last time you saw those things? You have disempowered the chiefs. Somebody come and sit in Accra, you call that person that he's the district chief executive, then you give him every power. Then he doesn't have the passion to develop the place because the communal ownership is not there. That telepathy is not there. But the chiefs are the true custodians of the land. Give it to them, and you see true and expeditious development.
They are fierce. This is rather going to make chiefs
why are you afraid? Why are you afraid? If you are not a criminal, why should you be afraid of the presence of the police?
But I mean, so there's been numerous chieftaincy issues from the south all the way to the north. What is your plan to deal with
It's now a national security issue, and we are going to set up a committee to be responsible for some of these things, beyond empowering the judicial committees to be able to sit on some of those cases. That's what we are going to do.
Okay, and I'll not peruse further, because clearly it's a very sensitive issue that we don't need to be touching on when it comes to the chieftaincy disputes and the causes and all of that. But you say that the committee will be looking at all these things.
Seriously, they need to be. I don't want to be partisan when it comes to chieftaincy issues, and that's why I'm contemplating on forming the committee. Like, you know that the one with the MMDCE has been very successful. And therefore, I know that the one that I'm going to form on the chieftaincy is also going to be very successful. Right. I believe in that. You need a non-partisan front. Well, you can't allow certain people, unscrupulous people, to be disgracing the chieftaincy front like that. The genuine owners of the stools will not behave in certain manner that we see. But sometimes, because of corruption, somebody will just organize on few monies, come to my jurisdiction, come and do gal and say, get money, and try to lure the kingmakers and become the chief. And these are some of the causes. Certain rich men who are not even closer to the stools sometimes wants to occupy some of those. And that is what has been creating some of those. I think we must establish lines of succession plans and make sure that those lines of succession are established and codified, so that if a chief passes, you know that by the line of succession, this is going to be the next chief. And these are some of the things that we are going to do.
It will really bring an end to most of the things that you're seeing.
If not total eliminating it, it will help reduce it.
Okay. Now, the Interior Minister made a clarion call recently, talking about the use of emblems as number plates for chiefs. How much consultation went into that? Because, I mean,
I saw it in the news and I was not told, so I don't want to comment on it now. No, I also saw it in the news.
But do you know how the chiefs feel about it?
That's why I said I don't want to comment about it, because I also saw it in the news.
But when you saw it, did you speak to the minister about it?
There are certain things you don't need to put on air about certain people, but that's what I don't want to comment about it.
That's fine.
You know, our chiefs must be held in high esteem, and therefore, even if there's something concerning chieftaincy, there's a way of handling it. Correct.
Okay. Well, let's talk about Galamsey. Your MMDCE.
Do you do Galamsey?
I don't.
But how can you talk about Galamsey?
I don't
talk about Galamsey.
I mean, we're talking about it because it's a fight that we've all been at, and we've seen so much come out from that. And one of the things we've heard is the role that MMDCEs play sometimes in facilitating illegal mining. What will be the role of the MMDCEs of this administration when it comes to the fight against illegal mining?
Once the MMDCEs are at post, and now the MMDCEs, the chiefs and the pastors are going to be working together.
The pastors as well?
Yes, the imams, pastors,
the religious bodies.
All religious bodies together with the chiefs and the MMDCs are now part of the assembly. So all these tripartite are going to meet together to discuss about it. So if there's a galamsey in the outskirts and the chief and the DC are seated there with the pastor, the two will ask who is responsible for that galamsey, and there will be a solution to it.
And what's the price for failure for the MMDCs? The
price of failure is dismissal.
Because John Mahama has said that if you want to do any form of mining, you will not be a part of his administration. He gave that assurance even before he became president.
And now he's the president.
And he's reiterated it.
But he has amended the mining in forest, the LI.
The LI 2462. People are not happy about that. I have spoken to bodies that have said that, well, the president promised that he was going to revoke it. So what is it with this amendment?
I think they are practical. The law, the forest mining in forest was, the law was to sanitize certain mining activities in certain places. So the forest reserve was put there to demonize the act. And that is why that aspect was taken out. So people would definitely not be totally happy about it because the entire law was demonized. But the entire law was not that bad, but it was that mining in forest reserve which was inserted there that demonized the entire law. And that had been taken out. So it will take time before people understand and appreciate what went into that.
So it's not as though the president has gone back on his word?
No. You know, John Mahama is somebody who wants to leave a legacy now. He is to be president for 4 years. So why do you think that he will be messing himself in some of those things? No, he will not.
Looking at the creation of the new regions, we said we wanted to facilitate development. Would you say the regions have seen the level of development for which they were created?
I will say yes and no. Yes, because at least there were some partial development that were initiated but not completed. And now I'm going to complete those things. Because in my budget this year, there's a money for the continuation of those development projects. And so long as, regional reintegration is part of local government now. And so long as those things are there for me to say, you can't say they will not. But if we wanted to foster development very well, the creation of this assembly fostered more development than regions. But the regional coordinating council don't have budget. The district assemblies have. So actual development is at the center and the district. The region, by our architecture of governance, the regions are just links between the center and the district, but they are not development agents.
You say you are going to make sure that they see the development that they were created for. You're going to commit to that.
Yeah, and that's why 80% is sent to the district so that the region will supervise them. The work of a regional coordinating council is effective supervision and monitoring. That's all. They don't have budget for development.
Does DRIP fall under your ministry as well?
Yes, it is.
What's the plan?
The plan is that there's a DRIP coordinator, Honorable Nilante Vanapua, and there's a DRIP secretariat. And once we send the money to the district, the DRIP machines will train people to go and be doing those development activities, and we'll send guidelines about how much money should be sent to them to do their work.
So we would not see the machines being diverted for personal uses?
The machines cannot. They cannot. Because there will be effective monitoring of the machines at the district.
It looks like effective monitoring seems to be the anchor of how you want to run the ministry.
That's the bane of our development. Nobody cares, but people are now going to care. Previously, nobody cared. And Ghana was like a country without a parent. And that is how come we could import things for electricity and redivert them, resell them to the country, multiple reselling to the country. How can you do that? That's a problem.
Looking at the market fires that we're bringing our conversation to a close, though. Looking at the market fires that we've experienced in the last couple of months and recent times, with the Edum fire incident being the recent, are there any plans from your end at how we can be able to curb such occurrences?
I think the Ministry of Interior has already initiated some steps. Fire services and the Ministry of Interior. And construction of markets also falls under local government. So clearly, there's something we need to do together. But as a matter of fact, there are a number of markets that we have not even finished constructing. And sometimes, maybe we need to engage the market women very well. The culture that we practice in market is different from the culture that we practice in our offices. And people must take market as their workplace or their offices. And therefore, the electrical wiring of the market. You know, there's a special law for wiring.
Yes.
Industrial wiring is different from domestic wiring. People must be given education on some of those things. And beyond that, our parents, some of our mothers go to the market. They have gas cookers at their workplace because they don't close early. They even prepare, cook food, everything in the market. And so, can you imagine the day that the fire will get out of hand? And when the fire starts, they will not tell you, they will not own up. That it becomes, somebody conspired to burn the place, to do this. Meanwhile, the person himself knows that he has gas cooker in his office, in his shop. She cooks in the shop. She prepares food in a lot of things go on. By Ghanaians, nobody will come and tell you. So we need to do proper sensitization on the market by the fire service. And the fire service themselves need to be proactive, to be doing sensitization with the ISD, to let people understand and appreciate. And to let people own up. If your neighbor is cooking food, your next door neighbor is cooking food in the shop, you need to own up and report. See something, say something. See something, say something. But we have to move beyond see something, say something. See something, say something, do something. Okay. Do something and make sure that person is arrested. Let the person come and say you are a bad man. That will be better than he cooking to create fire to burn your shop. And these are some. The insurance industry, they also have a role to play. You make sure that you go and do proper sensitization about insurance, at least to make sure that the people insure their shops. Beyond that, monitor to make sure that all the contractual agreement that they have in the insurance companies, they don't break them. Interesting. There's a lot of work to do. And talk about Mensah's KTR phase 2, you should complete it. What are you waiting for? Who started with phase 1? We started phase 1, completed. We were about to start phase 2, then we lost. Then he came 8 years, he couldn't do it. We have come, we complete it. John Mama said he will do it, he will finish it in 2 years. John knows that we are going to finish, and once we finish it, he can't go to Kumasi again. He knows he will finish it. He knows we are going to be. Your president Mama went there and said he will finish it within 2 years. And mind you, we are going to finish it within 2 years. MPP cannot enter Kumasi. How are you going to do that? Because we've talked about the fact that we are in so much debt, there is so much budgetary constraints. So why are you going to find the money to be doing these things? President Bill said, "Kafo Didi." Do you remember? I do. You know why we went on Kafo Didi demonstration? Right. Kafo Didi. Oh, clearly, it is one of our serious agenda to complete Kajetia phase 2, so that the MPP will be humiliated and they can't enter Kumasi. You mark it. We think so. Oh, it is. In 2 years, we'll do some of those monumental things in Kumasi, and MPP cannot enter them. We are politicians, who they know. Right. That is why Bamia hurriedly went there. That will finish it. What are you telling us? We finished first. Your mama finished first 1 within 4 years. Handed over phase 2 to you. 8 years you couldn't finish. Then you will come and say, "Oh, you are telling your mama to go and do it." Yes, we will do it. We always say we will do it in 2 years. We will do it and do other things in Kumasi. Let them say they will see. You shall mark it. Well, we'll keep tabs and get to monitor exactly how all of these things pans out. But my final set of questions would be on the National Cathedral. What's the fate of the cathedral? In fact, the National Cathedral has started engagement with the Secretariat. And you know, it's a very sensitive issue. The way Ghanaians handle it, we didn't handle it well. Okay. This is something that concerns almost all the purpose of the churches. Church of Pentecost, Assemblies of God, Methodist, Source of Light, Baptist, almost all the various churches. So if you are going to handle it with care. Make sure you are very dispassionate about the way you are going to go about it. And don't try to badmouth or blackmail somebody when you have not done thorough investigation. So we are engaging then, we are discussing a lot of things about it, and we see how best we can handle it. Until that is done, there is no way we'll just come and start putting things out. I don't think that's the best way to go.
So discussions are ongoing?
We started meeting. We've met once, met twice. And our intention is what is the way forward? How did we start, and where were we going, and what is the way forward? These are the things we are looking at. It's not something that where this man has chopped money. You don't start life this way, and you don't govern a country this way. It's a national security asset as well. If it is not handled, can you imagine the day where Ghana will say, "Oh, we are going to arrest the former chairperson of the Church of Pentecost, former chairperson of the Assemblies of God, former chairperson of the..." Can you imagine what will happen in this country? Now, what will we be doing to ourselves, Bishop? There are certain things we must think critically before you venture into it. And do you think that the people that I've mentioned would deliberately say that, "Oh, we are going to conspire to steal money"? Can Opokunyina tell Oponifrepon that let's steal money? Can it be possible? Can you yourself tell? None of all the big men can tell his neighbor, just that let's steal money. Can it be possible? No. So let's look at the clergy aspect and look at the politician. As for Ken Oforata, that's why I cannot vouch for him.
Why can't you vouch for him?
Oh, no.
Because you've spoken about the people who are on the board and
I cannot
say that
they cannot vouch for him because sometimes you can use the social capital to regularize your crime. Can you imagine that? So that is why I say that in handling it, put the politicians on one side and put the clergy on the other side. Then go into the project itself before you talk. But don't say because Ken Oforata is part, you blacklist or blackmail all the other clergy that they are like this. That's the way I think we should not go. So let's exercise restraint, go into it. The clergy were doing their religious activities, so they were not contractors, so they were not engineers.
So what happened with the National Cathedral? You're saying that the clergy came to do their work. Perhaps there was something amiss politically.
That's what we need to go and investigate. And that's the investigation, the discussions that we are holding with them. And that's why if I seated here as a religious affairs minister, come and say, "Oh, the National Cathedral was bad, it was this, was this," then tomorrow I say the clergy should come. If I come and sit before me, can they voluntarily tell me the bitter truth? That was it. So at this juncture, let's engage in a very diplomatic and respectable way. Even if somebody erred, they should be able to tell me that this is what went wrong. How do we get it corrected? The way to go about it will be how to make sure that we still get Ghana in peace. But not just be interested in making sure that, we'll jail all of them, we'll do all of them. Oh, no. Joshua, would that be a proper path to chart? Never.
Interested.
Never.
So we'll wait for the consultations to continue, and then we'll get to know exactly what the phase would be.
By support us in prayer.
Oh, we will. So there's this comment that we want to just quickly find out. Sir, good evening. Kindly inform the Honourable Minister that local government staff who were recruited as far back as 2023 have not been paid till now. We are suffering, and he's asking he should please help us and come to our aid. 2023, they were recruited, local government staff, not paid. Are you aware of this?
Not really.
Okay.
Not really, because between 2017 to 2024, my briefing is that there were over 14,000 local government staff that were added to the local office of head of local government service. So this 14,000 figure that was given to me, and I don't know whether from 2023 there were others that have not been paid, and as to whether they are part of the 14,000 staff recruited. So clearly, and last week when I met the local government, they said the total staff strength is now 32,000 or so. So you can imagine, if 32,000 by 14,000 were recruited within 8 years, then you can imagine what was done at where. So clearly, we used to say that we will do this, we will do that. but we need to go and do staff audit. And I give them up to today, 31st of this month, to do that thing. So clearly it will be done.
Okay.
It will be done.
So the audit will be carried out?
The audit will be carried out. I already discussed that one with the Auditor General.
Okay.
And I give the staff up to 31st of this month, 3 months grace period, that those who were not going to work, wherever you are, go. I didn't want it to look like witch hunting.
Right.
Oh, NDC for buy no more pamia, they are sacking. I didn't want that. Okay. That's why I gave them 3 months grace period. Be at post. If after 31st of March we come there and you are not there, the staff audit is done and you are not there, it means you don't exist.
Okay.
You'll be classified as a ghost.
As a ghost. All right. And ghosts do not deserve salaries. They do not deserve pay because they are not real.
And the motormen who are working there will also find this.
Well, so I just need to let you know that your students from King's Palace are all watching. And Michael Akwaje, who was my mate in King's Palace, says one thing he used to say a lot is quick, quick. The action that follows his saying of that term can either make you cry or smile. I can relate to that. But grateful for your time this evening. And we'll be looking forward to the collaboration with the media to ensure that we carry forward the message of sanitation and making sure that we're also doing our part. But thank you so much for your time this evening.
Joshua, thank you very much. And let me use this opportunity to say a very good evening to my students from King's Palace.
Yes,
especially you. You see, it pays to be disciplined though. Wherever I meet any of you, I'm happy. You were so good, so intelligent that
thank you.
Most of you are in high places. And now sometimes I learn from you. I used to teach you, but now I'm learning from you. And that's how life is.
That's how life is. And hundreds of thousands of people who read Flamingo. So good evening to them. But that's how we draw the curtains on the show tonight. It's been an interesting conversation with the Minister for Local Government, Chieftaincy and Religious Affairs, Honorable Ahmed Ibrahim. He's also the Member of Parliament for the good people of Banda. That's State of Affairs tonight. I am Joshua Kodjo Mensah. Good night.
Alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. My name is Mubarak Wakaso, your favorite Black Star midfielder. We thank Almighty Allah for giving us that strength to go through this blessed month. As we are about to celebrate Eid, I want to urge all of us to come out peaceful, nicely, to enjoy the Eid. Eid Mubarak to each and every one of you. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.